How do you feel about somebody doing that in public and a crowd of liberals all just roaring with laughter?
Well, as a comedian, I think it should be cool to make jokes. I guess that's how I feel. You said
Is
we
that a
always say
funny?
we're
Is
the
that a
Be
funny
Kind
joke?
Brigade. As a comedian, I know, and I think most comedians would agree. It's like conservatives; they do tend to be very thin-skinned. They are very easily offended. They don't take jokes very well. You kind of have to walk on eggshells around them because you will offend their delicate sensibilities.
All right, folks, this one's pretty funny. Piers Morgan, self-professed free speech warrior, a defender of the right of comedians to make crass jokes, a melter of snowflakes everywhere, became visibly triggered about a joke made by a liberal comedian against First Lady Melania Trump. And he had a meltdown on this most recent U.S. politics panel and got into a funny back and forth with a bewildered liberal comic. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. One of the things you have to accept about Piers Morgan when you watch his content is that he is a hypocrite. He is wildly unprincipled when it comes to enforcement of his principles. He loves free speech, except when the speech is inconvenient to the right or critical of Trump or Republicans. He despises PC woke culture unless his particular feelings are hurt, trying to navigate that minefield, which not always, but usually overwhelmingly favors the right, is really tricky. So we're going to play this clip, and I want you to focus not just on Piers, but actually the guy in the middle there. That's Trey Crowder, a.k.a. the liberal redneck. He's a funny comedian who offers political commentary. You should definitely watch his stuff. And they get into a funny back and forth over a joke made about Melania Trump.
I have to say, let me bring in, if I may, Trey, something completely different. But one of the other things I find really so wrong about the Democrat side and liberals in America is they love to say we're the Be Kind Brigade. The trouble with the Republicans is they're nasty, we're nice, and so on. And then they do things like this, which is Chelsea Handler saying this about Melania Trump, the First Lady.
I am your DEI host, Chelsea Handler. It was a huge year for biopics, a complete unknown about Bob Dylan, about Maria Callas, and Honora about Melania Trump.
So before we play the rest of it, I guess for context, Honora, and I didn't know this until I watched the segment, I was like, what the hell is she talking about? Apparently it's a film about a prostitute. So she's implying that Donald Trump's wife, First Lady Melania Trump, is a prostitute. Now, before we get to anything else, can any of you identify what's immediately wrong with everything Piers Morgan just said before we get into the back and forth between him and Trey Crowder? Spoiler alert, it's at number one. Republicans also claim to be the party of family values and Christianity, right? So they also have a claim to the moral high ground, at least they profess to, number one. Number two, Chelsea Handler is not a Democratic politician. She's not a senator. She's not a congressperson. She's not a president, former president, aspiring president, former first lady. She's a comedian who happens to be liberal and happens to vote Democrat. But I'm not sure Piers Morgan wants to set that as the standard, because if that's the case, if we're holding liberal comedians to the same standard as Republican politicians, well, then I'm going to open it up to conservative celebrities, to James Woods, to various unhinged right-wingers who don't hold public office, but they happen to be celebrities. You would still lose that competition, Piers, because, of course, MAGA is infinitely more cruel than any liberal. But I digress. Now, having established that, let's get into the back and forth between Trey and Piers' subsequent meltdown.
I mean, she basically called Melania Trump a prostitute. That's what Honora's about. So how do you feel about somebody doing that in public and a crowd of liberals all just roaring with laughter?
Well, as a comedian, I think it should be cool to make jokes. I guess that's how I feel. You said,
is that a funny joke?
Brigade. It's an award show fair. They're out, they're usually
really
not like
calling the first
best
lady a hooker.
brightest.
When did people do that to
Yes.
to a Democrat first lady?
I don't. I
Michelle
mean,
Obama.
people
Can you
say,
imagine?
okay, this is what I always as a comedian I can tell
Yeah,
you.
they
So
said
like,
a ton of horrible stuff about Michelle
you
Obama.
should, yeah, they said the stuff that people said about Michelle Obama and everything over. But my point is,
On
like,
stage in front of an audience.
I can tell you that
So do you see how he's moving the goalposts? At first, he's like, when did people talk shit about Michelle Obama? Oh my God. Oh my God. Go to Twitter, go to Facebook, go to any right-wing page, go to the Daily Wire, go to any sort of conservative subreddit, and just type in Michelle Obama. See the memes, see the jokes, see the rumors, see the conspiracy theories, all blatantly cruel, attacking her personally, attacking her physique, attacking her looks, attacking her gender. You would be inundated in all sorts of bile and hate towards Michelle Obama. Piers then knows it's like, oh shit. Well, how about on stage with a microphone on a Wednesday night at 4 p.m.? What about that, Trey? So funny. And Trey calls him out for this constant moving of the goalposts.
no, I know it's true because as a comedian, I know, and I think most comedians would agree. It's like conservatives; they do tend to be very thin-skinned. They are very easily offended. They don't take jokes very well. You kind of have to walk on eggshells around them because you will offend their delicate sensibilities. That's tough for me because I'm a big free speech guy.
And again, I just want to say, great point by Trey pointing this out that, like Piers, conservatives claim to be, free speech warriors. And listen, if you get offended by this, fuck your feelings, snowflake. Unless it's their feelings, then their feelings you have to protect. You don't get to hurt our feelings. Feelings are made to be hurt, but that's only liberal feelings. Again, the hypocrisy is staggering because they simply can't exist in a world where they have to adhere to the same standards they try to impose on everybody else. Again, we've seen this dozens of times with Piers, and we continue to see it even now.
As a comedian, so I'm not used to this. I mean, I am used to this. Chelsea, she said, she called her a prostitute. Maybe that's not really fair. Maybe like gold digger probably would have been better. But I feel like when people say, they don't just say gold digger. Usually, there's some other word that comes out. They say gold digging. What is it? I can't remember. It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, whores, right? Yeah, gold digging whores. So, but I don't know where Chelsea got the prostitute thing from. No, that's totally out of line. You guys are? I thought y'all are you can't joke about anything anymore crowd, right?
I got to be honest with you. You can joke about what you like, and my only comparison is, yes, people trolled Michelle Obama and so on. I don't remember any famous comedian doing it on stage at an award show calling Michelle Obama a prostitute or Hillary Clinton or any other Democrat wife, for that matter, ever. Democrat first lady. And so I'm afraid it seems to me it seems to me there is a double standard here, because if they had,
you're creating the double standard. I mean, look at Trey Crowder's face. He's just stunned. He's like, wait, this is your argument? It's not. Again, it would be one thing if he's like, hey, listen, we shouldn't be this crass. This is really rude and crass. We shouldn't do this. That's fine. You're entitled to that opinion. And I have a pretty dark sense of humor and a pretty wide sense of humor, so it takes a lot to truly offend me. But listen, if your position is we just need to be more civil to first ladies and second gentlemen and people who actually aren't running for office but are just married or dating people or related to people who are in office, I could get behind that. But apply it universally. And Piers doesn't. He doesn't apply it universally. And he's having to gerrymander the standard. Oh, it's okay. Well, it's okay to relentlessly troll Michelle Obama on Twitter. Major, massive, influential social media accounts that are tweeted and retweeted and reposted by major right-wing figures. That's okay. Just don't do it in person, on screen, with a microphone. That's really what takes it across the line of acceptability. Again, bullshit. I don't even think he buys this.
They'd have been run out of town. And that's the difference.
But your countryman Ricky Gervais very famously went in on the woke Hollywood elite and all that, countless times to their face.
Hang on. Trey,
everybody loved it.
I'm saying specifically
I loved it.
I'm saying specifically calling the First Lady of the United States a hooker. That's what I'm talking about.
If you're gonna define it that narrowly, no, I can't find an analogy to that. But people,
there hasn't been one.
But that's okay. Because
it's okay if you're a Democrat. Yeah. If you're a Democrat, it seems to me that's fine. It's fine to do it about a Republican First Lady. My point is, no one has ever done that from the right or left about a Democrat First Lady. There is a double standard about Melania Trump that I find repulsive.
let's just again, there's a problem with Piers. His hypocrisy gets ahead of his intellect. And he's not a stupid guy. He's very, very smart. And he's quite frankly, very cunning in his success. I don't take that away from him. But let's grant all his premises. Let's say it hasn't been done before. The question is whether or not you could do it. Could a conservative comedian talk shit about Michelle Obama at the Fox News Awards, right? The Patriot Awards by Fox News. And maybe there have, right? I shouldn't actually just take Piers's words at this on face value. It's entirely possible that, again, the only one that immediately jumps to mind is the Patriot Awards by Fox News. I would not be surprised if a famous comedian stood on stage somewhere, Joe Rogan, Rob Schneider, somebody, and talked shit about Michelle Obama. Would it be at the Academy Awards? No, probably not, because it does tend to skew liberal. But let's grant the premise that it's never been done before. Can you prove it can't be done? Number one. And number two, just because it hasn't been done before doesn't actually go to your point, because everything has its beginning. Every joke has its first time, right? There's always the first time we hear a joke. So this idea, his argument just doesn't make any sense. Taking it at face value. A joke hasn't been made about a Republican first lady. Therefore, you can't make a joke about a Republican first lady. Says who? That doesn't follow.
And if I was Donald Trump, I'd be repulsed by that as well.
I just think you should be able to joke about anything as a comedian. That's all I'm saying. I think it's ridiculous to draw the line there. These people are in power. You can punch up. You can make fun of a Democrat first lady if you want to. You can make fun of the Republican one. It's fine. People either laugh or they won't. If she's in front of a Hollywood crowd, they're liberals. They laugh. Whatever. If she does it in front of another crowd, they're not going to. People at home don't have to like it. They could get mad. But, like I said, I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in free speech. You should be able to say these things,
Oh, you can say it, but I can call it out. Let me get a mic. Mike.
So,
yeah.
Mike, are you happy that
So again, it's just so funny. This is my point. This just goes to show his MAGA sycophancy. He doesn't have anything to say about Michelle Obama taking abuse all these years. Dr. Jill Biden, President Biden's wife, she's also gotten abuse over the years. Again, not just from random people, but also prominent MAGA influencers, prominent Republican influencers, probably elected Republicans as well. Piers Morgan doesn't give a shit. He is gerrymandering it so narrowly, because he can't handle the fact that people can make fun of Republicans. And he believes that MAGA and Republicans, well, they have an exclusive right to be cruel. They should be able to say whatever they. You all can't say that. And we should say no. We will pick on powerful Republicans whenever we goddamn well please. And if you don't like it, nobody cares. As a matter of fact, that just incentivizes us to keep doing it more. And if you don't like that, if you think that powerful Republicans or their spouses or their loved ones should not be teased or mocked or joked about, that's fine. But then enforce that standard across the board. So when a conservative takes a shot at Michelle Obama, I expect Piers Morgan to stand up and say, shut the fuck up. Don't do that. You can't do that. Or about Dr. Jill Biden. Or, again, the loved ones, relatives, spouses of prominent Democrats. But I haven't heard that. So it really seems that the double standard is from Piers, not liberal comedians. And again, I'll just circle right back to where I started. Piers began this meltdown and this whine fest by saying, you guys say that you're the nice ones. And sure, the president of the United States says controversial, contentious, cruel things of unparalleled proportion and frequency. Sure, sitting members of the Republican Congress like Marjorie Taylor Greene, not some random person, a sitting member of Congress, one of their biggest fundraisers, will say that the entire Democratic Party is an evil party of groomers and pedophiles. For every one instance you can find of a liberal politician saying something cruel about a Republican, you can find 4 or 5 to 10 examples of a Republican politician saying something cruel about a liberal. Sure, all of that's there, but where we really have to draw the line is an unelected, non-political, liberal comedian. When I say non-political, I just mean that they don't hold office. That's where they have to go. They know they can't win the debate if they adhere to single standards, so they try to gaslight and cry bully and concern troll with this bullshit here. And Trey Crowder was right to laugh at Piers Morgan and say, this is ridiculous, because it is. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.